Welcome to Last Week TeenPact. I'm your host, Seth Wyatt. Thank you so much for joining us. These past few months have been, for the most part, devoid of TeenPact happenings. But Mr. Martin and others of the office have done their best to hype up the nation for the 2017 season, which is almost upon us. Recently, we have been teased with images of the 2017 state class notebooks, boxes allegedly containing the 2017 class shirts, and, of course, Mr. Martin's annual tie-a-day Christmas pageant. The TeenPact office has also made several recent staffing changes in preparation for the upcoming season, with Alexis Moore being announced as the new director for alumni events, and Mrs. Wendy Thompson, Mrs. Carlin Sullivan, and Anna Montgomery being announced to fill Paul Martin's recently vacated role as state class field directors. Indeed, the first week of state classes is now just a few weeks away, and already there are rumors flying around of potential National Convention presidential tickets, and there's also speculation that there could be some official announcements very, very soon. This process is actually quite complicated and generally consists of many secret conversations which inevitably lead to rumor and gossip. All this is enough to make me wish that there was a better way to determine the best possible presidential tickets. Oh wait! There is! Ladies and gentlemen, introducing PresidentMingle.com. Are you a lonely TeenPacter? Are you always seeking a running mate friend but don't know where to find one? Well, PresidentMingle.com is for you. President Mingle takes your personality and theology and accurately scores it by our very own original test, and pairs you with your best theological running mate match. And if that isn't enough, PresidentMingle.com also provides you with possible messages to use on the campaign trail, such as do some theological action, general spiritual phrase, and buy our NC shirts. So, if you find yourself in a jam, needing a running mate right before NC, use PresidentMingle.com. President Mingle, the only TeenPact way to legally mingle with the opposite gender. Speaking of the National Convention elections, one of the few issues with the process stems from the fact that a growing fraction of the total votes are absentee. While this itself is not an issue, and it's great to see TeenPacters across the nation who are not able to attend participating, the growth is, in part, affected by former TeenPacters who are a growing demographic. As the TeenPact election rule states, absentee voter eligibility is limited exclusively to alumni students of a TeenPact 4-day state class. However, this rule does not place any limit on how long a student may continue to vote in national elections once their time in the organization has expired. In other words, any former student can vote. TeenPact is now 22 years old, so theoretically some 35-year-old who attended a Georgia state class in 1998 could still be voting. If people that old know how to work computers, that is. But joking aside, this program is called TeenPact, not Teens and anyone who's ever been a teen before, Pact. This is a student election of peers, and for former students who are not currently involved in the ministry to have a voice in the election doesn't seem like a sustainable solution. This is especially so with the program expanding, and with it the number of students, and the number of former students. So what's the solution? Well, a simple way to do it would be to only allow people who attended a state class in that election year to vote. This would be a quick and simple method of preventing rampant voting amongst former students. However, this doesn't account for people who didn't attend the state class, but are still attending alumni events and are otherwise involved in the program. So maybe voting could be restricted to teens within the TeenPact age range, who have attended at least one event in the last 24 months. Obviously, there would be exceptions for parents who are on the site at NC, for national staff, etc. But these exceptions are already established and fully defined in the election rules. By no means are the National Convention elections rigged or broken, but I do think it's an important acknowledgement to make, and it's important to acknowledge the finer points of the rules that we could improve to make TeenPact elections better. Finally tonight, we turn to the topic of special relationships, only the second most taboo conversational subject among Christian homeschoolers, right after the witchcraft of Harry Potter. Perhaps TeenPact's most memorable guideline, the special relationship policy, inevitably draws a lot of attention and is the subject of many student jokes. But why is this the case? Well, like the media policy we discussed in a previous episode, the relationship policy is at the core and a core part of the TeenPact program. Unlike the media policy though, this subject is one with which most teens, and especially Christian homeschooled TeenPact types, have very little experience with. The vast majority of TeenPacters are just as single as Brent Vassbinder, and... wait. Well, you get the point. The relationship policy in TeenPact also carries with it a stigma, with a very few brave TeenPactors and even very few brave staffers feeling comfortable enough to divulge that they are in special relationships. This stigma is very unfortunate, as we as Christians are called to live life with one another, not hide life from one another. It's important to note, however, that the reason the relationship policy exists in its current form is primarily to keep the focus of TeenPact events on God, on meaningful conversations, and on meaningful interactions. Not on, as one of my first intern guys so eloquently stated, on romantic conquests. This policy is incredibly important, not just to TeenPact, but to our personal growth during the week. The intent of this policy is not to stigmatize relationships, rather to aid in the building of a personal foundation of faith. With this in mind, it's important for TeenPactors to approach relationships authentically. Special relationships happen. Not only that, but they're a good thing. God created them, and we should be mindful, as the homeschooled TeenPactors that we are, of the importance and of the value of them. But as with everything else, we shouldn't let relationships consume us. God is and always will be the most important part of our lives. He forms the core of who we are, not relationships or family or even TeenPact. God is the core of who we are. But apparently, TeenPact isn't kidding when they say they want their students to be engaged. Because although a stigma may exist, this hasn't stopped many of our best known TeenPactors, interns, mind you, from entering into special relationships. We honor these brave men and women for their sacrifice to the cause of humanity. These heroes of relational courage. These tributes of volunteered honor. These tributes of the special relationship games?
The special relationship game.
We now offer tribute to our brothers and our sisters. Thank you, interns, for your brave and vigorous sacrifice. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website in the description below. I'm Seth Wyatt, and this has been Last Week TeenPact. Good night.